20 premiership victories to their credit, the mighty Rabbitohs of South Sydney are the most successful club in the history of the league. They took their first title in 1908, their last in 1971. This year, 1989, has provided a fairy tale start for the Rabbitohs. Round 1 was to see their only loss against Easts. Round 2, and Canberra capitulates to Rabbitoh power. Round 3, Cronulla, last year's minor premiers, are also defeated at the hands of Souths. Through to round 6, victory this time against the mighty St George. Round 7, and another win, this time against last year's premiers, Canterbury. Even in the mud during round 11, Souths came from behind to defeat an informed Newcastle outfit. And today, as competition leaders, they come here to Leichhardt Oval for ABC's live coverage of round 12 of the Winfield Cup, where they meet last year's grand finalists, the Balmain Tigers.
And what an important match it is for the Tigers. They're on 12 points in that pack, just 2 points out of the 5. But a loss today would see that screw turn just that little bit tighter in their bid to make the playoffs. Souths have won 10 in a row, just like this great side, the 1955 side. And I'm certain if the little master were here today, he'd be very proud of this vastly underrated team. These two teams normally produce fireworks, and today Warren Boland should be no different.
Yes, David, the winning run demonstrates this South Sydney team are up with the best of them. But even if they can make it 11 wins in a row, the winning streak will mean nothing if they don't win the grand final. Today's clash against last year's grand finalists should be a ripper. In the back line, Souths have the magical Phil Blake at 5'8". At half-back, Craig Coleman will be controlling the forwards, and they're the rock on which South's success is built. Wayne Chisholm in the second row is typical of the South's back row, strong and fast. So far, the inexperienced front rowers, Jim Sedaris and Mark Lyons, have been doing the job. You can't ignore the fact that big names, David Boyle and Les Davidson, are in reserve grade, coming back from injury today, and Ian Roberts has already been hurt in reserve grade. Well, like their opponents, Balmain's strength is in the forwards. The Tigers will be hoping that Ben Elias can bounce back to his best today. Both he and Steve Roach have plenty to prove. Balmain's Achilles heel is their back line. Workaholic halfback Michael Neal is in first grade today, but the Tigers will have to improve to match South's back line. The Tigers are desperate for the points, but they've been disrupted by the late arrival of Sean Edwards. He'll be a fresh reserve.
Hi, I'm Phil Blake from South Sydney. Stay tuned to Saturday Super League.
And here come the Balmain Tigers out onto the field, and that sign there is in reference to Mrs. Joyce Lawrence, who's a patient in the Balmain Hospital, and all the Balmainiacs. I wish you a very speedy recovery, and a special hello to all of the nurses in the John Goulston ward. There's the Balmain team: Jack at fullback, O'Brien, Brasher, Courier and Chalmers the three-quarters, Hobsy at 5'8", and Neal at halfback. The forwards, Pearce at lock and captain, Maguire and Cernan in the second rowers, Edmed, Elias and Roach up front, and the coach Warren Ryan. Here's the South Sydney side. Mark Lyons coming out there, David Cruikshank chewing on the gum, Graham Lyons, Paul Roberts, and also, of course, Bruce Longbottom. And there's the South Sydney team: Cruikshank at fullback, Longbottom, Mavin, Graham Lyons and O'Neill the three-quarters, Blake at 5'8" and Coleman at half. The lockers Andrews, the second rowers Chisholm and Roberts, the props Fennick and Mark Lyons, and Sedaris, the young 17-year-old, in at hooker, and George Piggins as the coach. Wayne Pearce very keen for a big performance from the Balmain Tigers today. They know that this is a must-win match, and the forward pack, a very strong forward pack, really have to produce the goods. Steve Roach, as we pause for a minute's silence in memory of those two young policemen who were so tragically killed at Ballina. And our sympathies to both the Fig Tree and Rampling family really goes out. Craig Coleman, the little organiser, the man about so much revolves. The referee, Greg McCallum. crowd start to sit down in anticipation of what should be a great match. Sean Edwards, you notice on the bench there, he didn't arrive home until last night from that match played in Milwaukee last week. So Warren Ryan starting the match with Hobbsy at 5/8 and Edwards on the bench. Greg McCallum blows the whistle. Andy Courier gets the match underway here at Leichhardt Oval. Two teams that normally do really produce great games of football. But these conditions here this afternoon, probably against a free-flowing game, John Beard.
Yes, a little heavy for the players. They'll find it tough, but the wind's from the northwest. It'll be a tough game. There'll be no excuses from Balmain. They've run out of alibis. All their well-credentialed players have just got to produce today.
So South Sydney have it. Here's Fennick. Put under a swinging arm. Paul Roberts. Chisholm. He's been in outstanding form this season. Last tackle against South Sydney. Penalty. Now, we heard last week that there was a chance that referees were going to start cracking down on the downtown rule, and there it is already. Greg McCallum penalising South Sydney for getting out of the starting blocks too early.
Phil Blake up there just checking on what exactly is going on, why the penalty was awarded. Paul Roberts. But it's a good thing if the referees are going to crack down on the downtown rule, as long as Greg McCallum has told the sides before the match. Here's Mario Fennick and Phil Blake once again just checking on what the ruling was. Phil Blake seems to be asking the question a little more firmly than before. But as I say, so from the reaction of Blake, I wonder whether Greg McCallum did lay down the law before the game and warn the players, because it's all very well to enforce rules which are in the book. Fine, but there's an awful lot of rules in the book and a lot of them don't get enforced. For example, this one, being 5 metres back, the attacking side when the ball is played. And when the referees suddenly decide that they are going to crunch down on those rulings, well, I think the team should be told before the game so they know exactly what's going on and they know that that is the rule, not just for today, for the rest of the season, or that's what it should be the case.
The ball falling off the mound there. So far this year, Souths have scored 205 points, as against Balmain's 143. The last 3 games, Souths have scored 69 and conceded just 26.
Just getting back to this downtown ruling, it's called downtown because that's often been the name of the move amongst sides. You call out downtown, it means that the kick is going down the field towards the fullback and all the chasers have got to get off the mark and get down there as quickly as possible. But what it also means is players often trail forward well before the ball is played. They're offside.
So Andy Courier, first chance to put points on the board. He's only about 30 metres out. It's not an easy kick, but this fellow can kick them. And there it is, high, but way out to the left of the upright. Play to restart with the drop out from the centre of the quarter line. The last 3 meetings, South Sydney have won between South and Balmain. South have scored 53 as against 37, so not a great deal of difference between the two teams, despite the fact that Souths have won their last 3 matches. Gary Jack bringing it back for Balmain. Elias in a dummy half. Here's Cernan, and that's what the Balmain fans want to see a lot of today. Cernan charging onto the ball. This is Maguire. What a great game he had on Wednesday night. Roach had to stop on his run that time, just missed timing at a fraction. Elias with the kick. Too deep.
Elias's kick was always going to be too deep, but it never looked like staying in the field of play. Nevertheless, Balmain can set their defence and line up against South at the 22. There's the kick from Elias. He should know this home ground pretty well, but far too deep, landing on the full in the in-goal area. Just harking back to Ian Roberts, a man that South Sydney are looking to for this season. They're putting tags of $250,000 on him. New South Wales could have used him in the State of Origin series. He came back from a few weeks out today in reserve grade, only lasted a couple of minutes, and he is off injured with a recurrence of that groin stomach muscle injury. So very bad luck for Ian Roberts.
And here's Paul Roberts. Yes, it was tragic watching him walk past us about an hour after he got changed. It really looked like a man who was very disconsolate and real hard luck for Ian Roberts.
And it looks like surgery for him now.
Chalmers getting back, takes that well. O'Neill's up there. O'Neill stops him. Mavin finishes him off. Pobji, Neil, Jack. The earlier matches today, a late converted try to South Sydney and President's Cup gave them that match. 18-16 of the Balmain fans thought the refereeing was a bit controversial. And in reserve grade, it was a 14-all draw after Balmain at one stage had led 14-2. Balmain bring it back through rope.
The Balmain forwards are hot to trot. They're running it up strongly, but so far the South Sydney defence very good in the middle.
Elias the kick for this, the western touchline. You notice the effect of the mud or the wet part of the field there, that just virtually stopped. Cruikshank brings the ball back. This is how Balmain started against Manly and against Parramatta early in the year. They only played like this for 10 minutes against Parramatta and were consequently defeated. They kept it up for 80 minutes against Manly and consequently got the points.
A couple of weeks ago they didn't do it at all against St George.
Lions. This young fellow's filled in admirably in recent weeks. Despite a car accident just before the Newcastle game, which he had to be replaced or didn't start the game. O'Brien. Good chasing from South Sydney. Blindside, Gary Jack. Neil. Pobji. Pearce. Roach. Unusual to see him at dummy half, but there's the reason why. Elias putting the kick in down to the quarter line. Here's Cruikshank. Both these fullbacks are outstanding at running the ball back. As are most of them in the competition these days, I must admit.
There's a lot of good fullbacks around, and they'll appreciate it if the referees enforce this downtown ruling, as we've called it, because it'll give them a lot more room to move. They'll be able to get the ball back towards the defensive line. They'll have that extra 15, 20 metres before the defence gets to them.
South Sydney through Chisholm. Lost it. Going to be a scrum. At just 7 minutes play here at Leichhardt Oval, still no score. South Sydney 0, Balmain 0.
Wayne Chisholm with the ball. He's got Bruce Maguire all over him, and in the end the ball comes loose.
Balmain blindside through Jack to Thrasher. This young fellow still at school. But Thrasher by name and Thrash by nature. He's got plenty. I can assure you of that. He's impressed all and sundry who've seen him so far this year, this young fellow. Here he is.
Good strong run again by Cernan.
Benny Elias already on top of the tackle counts for the Balmain side. Dearly wouldn't he like to get a blue jumper on the 28th of June. 6 to go, says the referee, but then there's the knock on.
Wayne Chisholm trying to rake the ball back. He didn't do it successfully at first. Managed to interfere with the play of the ball, but didn't get it back. It's in the ruck. No one can put their hands on it. And then finally Elias decides that he will have a go. He knocks it on. The referee puts a scrum down, but I think really the referee had to decide that ball was still in the ruck and Balmain should have been penalised. You could see that Elias hesitated. He knew the ball hadn't come clear of the ruck, and then he went for it the second time. Well, nothing had changed.
South Sydney through Lions. Coleman, Benny. The referee going to call Cernan out here.
There seemed to be a swinging arm in the tackle. Let's have a look here as Mario Fennick runs the ball up. Maguire first man into the tackle. And there's Cernan coming with a forearm jolt to the jaw.
So the penalty going South's way, and they've got it at 10 metres inside Balmain's territory. Here's Chisholm again.
Craig Coleman in a dummy half, calling the shots, getting the runners off him.
Coleman. Benny. through the dummy. Couldn't get it away to Paul Roberts, who was there. Open side, it comes to Blake. Blake, that little kick. In behind Chalmers, and in the end, it beats them all across the touchline.
Graham Lyons was flying through after that kick from Blake. If it had gone into the in-goal area, Chalmers had taken a while to turn around. It could have been a very interesting chase. But as it was, the ball found touch, just skewing away.
Podgy, lovely ball away to Courier. Gee, if he could have got it back out to Podgy, there was trouble there for South Sydney. They had an overlap, they get the penalty. And gee, if he could have slipped that ball back, Courier, to Podgy, who backed him up on the outside. Cruikshank, you can see out wide there, that was 3-on-2, Podgy in space.
Penalty against Cruikshank for holding down the tackled player.
Used that right arm a bit too, I think. Chalmers. There's the penalty count at this stage. 10 minutes gone in the match, and it's still Balmain 0, South Sydney 0. Elias. He threw a lot of dummies, but no one got sucked in that time. Cernan. He's got the pass to Rasa. Good play. Jack. Neil. This is Maguire. Maguire still going. Maguire's got the pass. This is Elias. Quickly it comes to Pearce. Here's Courier. Away to Chalmers, who can't handle it.
Well, the reward wasn't there for Balmain. Great work, first of all, by Maguire, and then it was carried on by plenty of other players. Great work by Maguire initially. Then it was Elias. Pearce looming up. Courier gets a good pass away, or it was a well-timed pass, but it was too far in front of Chalmers.
Elias looking to both touch judges too after he got his pass away. So maybe he got filled after he sent the pass on.
Maguire must have pulled out of 3 or 4 tackles to finally get his hands free and get a pass away in that move.
Mavin. Hasn't even come on as a footballer this year. Benny. Blake kicking for the eastern touchline. O'Brien getting back. Jack's there. Just to lend a bit of assistance, but good chasing again from South Sydney. It's been the key to their play this year. A lot of kicks, but you'll notice that Lyons and Blake will always be down there to really give the opposition a hard time.
Blake deciding to kick very early in the tackle count. They want to play it down Balmain's end. That was only the second tackle, I think it was, and Blake got the kick away, whereas Balmain are more prepared to run it up. They're taking on South up the middle.
Neil. Still Blake. Courier went straight into McNeil. Last tackle against Balmain. Elias is on the quarter line. Jack, not a noted kicker. Cruikshank. Rasa's there. Longbottom's knocked it on. Here's a chance for Balmain, but they couldn't pick it up.
Bit of an altercation.
He's too happy with Mr. Cernan somehow.
Well, he shouldn't be too happy with himself. That really had to be taken. He put it down. Cernan just coming through, I think, has clipped him with his leg. But Cernan was after the ball. Longbottom should be more unhappy with himself than Paul Cernan.
I think you have to be a lip reader of any prowess to know what Longbottom said to Cernan.
What was it, though?
I'm not allowed to say it on air. Off the back of the scrum, here's a chance. Neil's gone through. He's got the pass on to O'Brien. O'Brien for the line, and it's a try. Balmain are in front 4-0.
I think the referee's called it back.
No, he's pulled it back for the forward pass.
It was a neat piece of football. Nevertheless, down the blind side, McNeil scooting away, working here with Pearce. Pearce out of the ruck. That gave him the extra man. That got Neil away. He held up the pass, sucked Longbottom in, slipped it away, and it did look forward as O'Brien breaks Cruikshank's tackle.
Now Balmain penalised for being offside in the scrum.
Did look forward, I suppose, but only just. A very neat piece of work by Balmain.
South Sydney through Chisholm, just inside South Sydney's territory. This is for Dara.
I think we've got a quality game of football in our hands, David. Both sides playing a very good brand of football out here.
Blake, he almost caught them up the centre. Good tackle from Elias. Coleman with it. The kick in behind Chalmers' wing. It's a good kick, this. Will it go dead? Yes. But only just. Touch in goal.
Cool judgment by Gary Jack. Took his time, watched the ball. I'd say his players were telling him that he had enough time to let it roll. He has a quick look over his shoulder there just to see how much time he's got.
Roach. Here comes Cernan. He came from deep and strong and hard. And that's the sort of running, and this will be a penalty. It's against Roberts. There's something that went on in the tackle. The referee saying get out of it. This little swinging arm.
Paul Roberts, the man being cautioned, and there's a swinging arm. A clip over the ear for Cernan. So South's getting a little frustrated. They're trying to stir Balmain up, but Balmain are already stirred up. They're fired up today. Cernan and Roach really taking South on, and South so far retaliating with pretty silly stuff, which is costing them penalties.
3-2 the penalty count.
And maybe it was tit for tat because Cernan handed one out a little while back, didn't he?
So here's Balmain. Edmed takes it up strongly. It's the first time I think he's touched the ball, isn't it? Elias, blindside. He finds Maguire. Slipped it back to Neil. That's good football. Pobji quickly to Courier. He's got Brasher in support. Oh, he had to have 2 bites of the cherry. In the blind side, what can Courier do? Trying to keep it alive. The ball's gone over the touchline.
Courier running himself into trouble. Tried to scoot away from the dummy half position, but he didn't have enough room as he realised he was going into touch. Well, I thought he might have got the pass away, but it looked as if Coleman ripped it out. The referee has given the feed to South Sydney, so he's decided it was Courier's fault.
Longbottom must have had heart failure if he saw that ball coming towards him then. Higgins probably did too when he saw Coleman throw it.
I think it's important right now for South to get their big forwards moving, then using up tackles and looking a little scrappy.
Andrews brings it out for South Sydney. So last tackle against South Sydney. This will be the kick, or will it? Thought about the kick. O'Neill. Can he keep the ball alive? He can't. It's going to be a handover. John Beard, any patterns you can see developing?
Well, of course, Dave, there's nothing on the scoreboard, but there really is nothing in the game. Both teams are taking the ball forward very well. Good ground in the forwards, mate, and it's just those little passes that Roach and Maguire are slipping that could make all the difference.
Neil, 30 metres out. They're bunched up a bit here, Balmain. Elias the dummy. Good defence from Blake. Neil finds Edmed again, coming onto the ball strongly.
Courier camped on the right-hand side here.
Roach, back in amongst the forwards. Not sure who it was intended for. They've still got the ball. Last tackle against Balmain. Now, what's Elias going to do? The kick in behind Longbottom. Longbottom picked that up well. Not an easy pick-up on a greasy surface, but he did well.
Souths have been camped down that end of the field ever since Longbottom dropped that ball about 5 minutes ago. It was a vital mistake. There's the kick from Elias. Longbottom did well here. He got back, gathered it in very neatly. This might be the let-off. Penalty to South Sydney.
Against Steve Roach, as you can see, not correctly marking up. Ball's been touched in flight, so all it means is that the scrum will go down. They don't automatically get the second kick.
South should still get possession from the scrum, but they're the sort of mistakes you don't want to make.
Cruikshank. Here's the tackler. Vinny Elias has already got into double figures as far as tackling is concerned. He's racked up 10, as too is Paul Roberts for South Sydney. Chalmers getting back for the kick. O'Neill coming through quickly, so too is Mavin. And also up there is Graham Lyons.
Good chasing. Appeared to be a late decision by Cruikshank to put that kick in, but the chasers read it well.
O'Brien.
Balmain making too many errors.
He's lost the ball, Pearce. I thought Courier was offside, and so does the referee. He was definitely standing in front of Pearce when Pearce lost the ball. He was in an offside position, Courier. And it happened right in front of us.
Harking back to that kick a moment ago, once more we see Souths kicking on the second tackle, so they really don't want to have the ball in their own hands at their end of the field. They want to play it down the other end and hope that Balmain make a mistake.
Pressure from South Sydney now.
And they got the mistake that time.
I don't know what Mark Lyons was up to there. Mark Lyons on the quarter line. Cruikshank and Crossfield, good tackle. Fennick, the work move. Who's going to finish up with it? Sedaris. I don't think he was the man that was meant to get it. And there's a good tackle of Maguire on Lyons to finish off the movement. They mucked that up a bit, South, didn't they? Fennick found Blake just outside the quarter line. Fourth tackle against South Sydney. Andrews, the dummy half. Coleman. Here's Paul Roberts. Last tackle. Will they even think about a field goal from here? Blake. Beautiful ball to Mavin. Here's a chance. Mavin versus Jack, and Jack equal to the task. But Mavin had support on the outside.
Gary Jack doesn't miss many tackles in that fullback position. Very difficult tackles to make, and if you miss them, your history. But here's a good ball from Blake out to Mavin, Mavin to Blake out to Jack, and he takes him out underneath him beautifully. He didn't go for him ball and all. He realised that the supports were covered. He went around the legs and put him on the deck.
He did the job. Now Pearce has lost the ball for the second time in the space of a couple of minutes, and South Sydney have got a chance here. Sedaris, the dummy half. Sedaris on his own. Out wide, it comes off Lyons' hands. They've still got it here through Andrews. 10 metres out. Fennick out wide. This is Chisholm. Fennick again in a dummy half. Blake, the dummy. Had plenty of support out wide again. I think he thought about that long ball that they've used so successfully, but he's lost the ball in the tackle. And the scrum's going to go down 10 metres out.
Balmain moved up very quickly on the outside, and Blake decided it was chancy if he did throw the long ball. Tried to go himself and lost it.
They've been quite successful with throwing the long ball a few times this year. You may remember the game against St George, and they carved St George up out wide with the long ball. They scored a good try against Newcastle a few weeks ago using it. O'Brien's gone straight through. Has he got the pace? He's up to the halfway. Great tackle from behind by Longbottom.
He had Gary Jack with him and didn't realise that Jack was unmarked on his left.
How can they keep it going here? Here's Pearce over the halfway line. What a good tackle from Longbottom, though. One that had to count. Elias. Podgy. Chalmers. Elias. The long ball comes back out the road. Now there are chances they move it quickly here. Pearce gets it away. Rasa down to the quarter line. Chasing him strongly as Lyons.
6 more tackles. The ball was touched in flight.
A chance again here for Balmain. This is Neil. Not a good pass. Pearce has gone without it, but they've still got it. Oh, and Courier's put it onto his boot. Maybe he didn't know that there was still 6 to go. And O'Neill just watches it go over the dead ball line. Played a restart from the centre of the quarter line with the tap.
I'm sure Courier didn't know. You can see him acknowledging some of his teammates saying, Andy, there were 6 more. The ball coming out. Courier picks it up, thinks that it's the last tackle and decides to kick.
Yes, the wave of the hand seemed to be an apology, didn't it? I suppose in a game out there, you don't necessarily hear everything the referee says. You'll see everything he does.
Well, the referee was quite a long distance away from the ball as he made the signal, so Courier probably backing up near the ball didn't see or hear it.
He mightn't understand our language yet either. Wayne Pearce has made 3 handling errors in about the last 10 minutes, which is unusual. South Sydney through Blake. Now the chasers aren't down there as quickly as they normally are. Lyons is getting up there now, and so too is Longbottom. He's gone straight through again, Roberts. Now he's got the pass on to Jack. This time, back inside it comes to O'Brien. O'Brien looking both. Oh, that's a way forward.
Well, Balmain have blown another opportunity. They've had a couple now. They haven't been able to get over the line. Here it is with O'Brien bursting downfield. He has men on the left and on the right. He decides not to go to Neil, but misjudges the pass out to Brasher, well forward. In fact, I think Brasher may have overrun him a little as well. You've got to make sure you position yourself behind the man who's carrying the ball so that you can run onto the pass. Give him something to feed to you.
15 minutes remaining in the first half, and it's still South Sydney 0, Balmain 0.
South are coming badly unstuck here. Twice they've kicked down to Balmain's end. Balmain have picked the ball up and gone straight through them coming back.
Both on the other side of the field, down the left flank. Made some breaks, and of course, don't forget O'Brien did score a try that was pulled back for a forward pass down the left flank.
And look at Lyons here, making no ground up the middle. Ask yourself how many South Sydney forwards have taken the ball up hard and made any ground. The answer is none. Compare it with Balmain, Cernan, Roach, Maguire making ground.
Here's a dangerous man, Graham Lyons, who has it, but again the defence holds. Chisholm, Lyons, he got it away well to Coleman. Here's Andrews. That's a good ball to Blake. Blake only just grabbed from behind by the Guernsey. Oh, a little tap to go on with from Fennick on Brasher. And now Blake and Brasher are into it in the back play as well as they move the ball out through Paul Roberts. I think what happened there was
on the forward pass. He doesn't realise there's been a blow-up.
I think you'll find that finally the touch judges come on. What happened was Fennick gave Brasher a little tap over the head, and Brasher, as you'll see here, now you'll see Fennick give Brasher one here. See? Nothing too offensive, and I think you'll find that, well, Phil Blake, that was a lovely right he got in.
It'll be interesting to see what the touch judge says, because Blake really was the offender there. He was the one who caused the whole thing to blow up. There was a bit of pushing and shoving, but he threw the first punch.
I think Fennick threw the first one. But
well, I think all Fennick did really was touch Brasher on the head and say, get off him, let him play it. Just a little clip.
See, these two teams, Warren would remember, John Beard would certainly remember, played the first ever match broadcast on radio, the 1924 final, when Balmain beat South 3-0. Sorry for putting your weights up, Beardy. Balmain working that left side again. They've made a lot of ground down there.
The end result just after that blow-up was the forward pass, but that was the most promising piece of attack South has put together for virtually this match so far.
Cernan inside South Sydney's territory. Roach. 12.5 minutes remaining in the first half. It's still 0-0. Blindside. Jack makes the handling error. The scrum will go down.
Michael Popsy trying to move the ball, link the ball wide quickly. I think he put it just a little too far in front of Gary Jack. He certainly did.
Balmain have made more errors. Most of those are handling errors. Anyway, Balmain have looked the better team. Get the look on the scoreboard, it's still 0-0.
Well, Balmain are moving the ball around, but just at times they're throwing these bad passes and some poor handling, but particularly it hasn't really been under pressure at times.
South Sydney, John, I think that's been their trademark all season, the fact that they can handle and soak up the pressure and just wait for another team to make a mistake.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. And of course they've got that match winner in Phil Blake, and he's biding his time there, but I think their best chance is probably to play Balmain out wide. Balmain have a lot of success through the forwards, moving the ball around well.
And there's the kick from Phil Blake, finding touch just 20 metres out from the Balmain line.
So far in this game, it's been Blake's kicking which has really been the key to any forward movement for Souths.
Popsy. Just They play a simple brand of football, but they've won 10 straight in the Winfield Cup. O'Brien. Edmed bringing it up.
Another good run.
Elias looking for runners. Roach. Crowd starting to try and appeal to the referee, saying that Souths are offside. Cernan over the halfway he goes. Good tackle around the legs there from Chisholm. Last tackle against Balmain. Elias looking for touch. O'Neill's done well there. A bit of confidence in what he did.
Yes, he did it well. Adam O'Neill has had some moments in his career which haven't gone his way, but that was well done.
10 minutes left in the first half and still no score in the match. Balmain 0, South Sydney 0. Is it going to be a Ben Elias or a Phil Blake field goal that breaks the deadlock? Neither of them are afraid to do it when the score's 0-0. South Sydney through Blake, kicking again for that eastern touchline. This one's not going to find touch. Jack bringing the ball back. Good run from Jack. Very heavy tackle that.
Yeah, a replacement in the South Sydney side, number 40, Tony Rampling. He's going on for Mark Lyons in the front row.
Elias has gone straight through. Couldn't slip the... Yes, he has. He's got it for Courier. Not a good pass, but well picked up by Michael Neal. Up over the halfway line he goes. Gary Jack looks as if he's a little bit groggy there. Neal, Hodgie, Thrasher. Here's Jack. He was groggy. He didn't show any evidence of it there. Balmain through Cernan. Last tackle against the Tigers. Neal, the little kick over the top. Coming through quickly is Wayne Pearce, but Adam O'Neill did very well.
And he had to do very well because Pearce was right after that ball and it was virtually taken out of right out of his hand. Pearce on the burst.
Penalty goes against Balmain for up inside the 5. Crowd won't be too happy about that.
That was a beautiful little kick from McNeil, and look, as Pearce comes through, O'Neill commits himself to the ball, went full steam across field and whacked it out of the hands of Pearce.
There's Tony Rampling, and I think all of Australia wishes you the best, Tony, after the sad loss of your brother during the week.
I wonder whether Mark Lyons is injured or George Piggins is dissatisfied with his performance. No apparent injuries, he leaves the field. We might get John to check on that.
He was their third best tackler, Lyons. He got through 8. Of course, that kick taken by Chalmers, but Chalmers was to put in the touch. Now O'Neill's put this little kick through. Chalmers is back there. So was Jack. And O'Neill almost got it back. His confidence is sky high now. Penalty goes against South Sydney.
Penalty apiece in the last couple of minutes up inside the 5. And it lets the pressure off.
Yes, that replaced Tony Rampling. I'm sure George Piggins has sent him on for Mark Lyons, who doesn't appear to be injured, to try and fire up the South Sydney forwards. A little bit of resistance for Roach and Cernan, who are going so well.
Well, there's a bad mistake. Not putting the ball out on the full on the penalty. Paul Roberts out wide. He's got a heap of speed. He used to play a lot of centre. When he came to Sydney, Paul Roberts presented with the Tory boomerangs. Mavin. The Balmain have made 9 handling errors in this half, as opposed to South Sydney's 3. Phil Blake on the quarter line. Coleman. This is Chisholm. Dangerous footballer. Blake again. The long ball comes out to Paul Roberts, who's gone without it. O'Neill's lost it, but he lost it backwards. The referee says last tackle. Rampling, Coleman, the little kick, straight to Michael Neal. And Neal's done well to bring that ball back. Jack. Wayne Pearce. Andy Courier. Roach. That was good play from Sedaris. Made sure that Roach couldn't get the pass away. Pobji.
Referee telling Andy Courier to get back outside the 5 or he'll penalise him.
Out on the full. Handover. Only just out on the full, but that's enough.
The referee was about to penalise Balmain for being inside the 5, even though they were attacking, but he let it go.
Andrews. Well, all of the Balmain forwards got ready for a scrum then, when it was obviously a handover, and South's almost caught them napping. Mavin.
Balmain making a couple of basic mistakes, kicking out on the full there a moment ago. They didn't kick a penalty out, they kept it in the field of play.
Blake. Paul Roberts. Paul Roberts. He's got a lot of speed for a big man. On the quarter line, here's Coleman. Fennick. Long ball comes to Mavin. But Mavin can't get through Pobji and Brasher. Under 5 minutes remaining in the first half. It's still 0-all. Blake. Again thought about the long kick, or the long pass, the kick in the end. And Mick Neal quickly gets up and plays it forward. And Phil Blake must be offside, surely.
Phil Blake, stupid piece of football, but no doubt he was frustrated. He kicked the ball straight into Mick Neal. It was a rebound, so it was play on. Mick Neal manages to gather it in, and Blake not marking up, pulls him from behind. I think just a bit of frustration from Phil Blake that his kick didn't come off.
And I also think with Cruikshank off on the line, as you saw there, Blake might have thought for a minute there was nobody at home, and he took the odds to...
Or maybe it was quick thinking by Blake. It was equally quick thinking by Mick Neal to play it forward.
Penalties are shared. Score is level. Still 0-all. There's 3.5 minutes left in the first half. Pearce. Almost on the halfway line. Open side it comes. Neal, Pobji, Brasher, Courier. Oh.
Not too sure what the referee is signalling there.
Did the ball come off Courier and bounce onto Brasher and then back into Courier's hands? Hard to see from there.
Not too sure what the referee ruled there. He certainly was touching his shoulder.
So South Sydney with the ball. 40 metres out. Chisholm playing it. Fennick. Rampling. And Roach finishing him off over the top. Fennick. Just outside that quarter line. Rampling. Rampling on his own. Good thinking. Last tackle against South Sydney now. Blake's gone to the short side. Coleman puts the kick in. It comes off a Balmain player. Back to Roberts. 6 to go. And this is Longbottom. So more pressure for Balmain. Andrews. Coleman. Chisholm down the centre of the ruck. Just 11 metres away from that Balmain line. How many games are won and lost in that 5-minute period either side of halfway? Fennick, Roberts. Got the pass on to Longbottom, and Longbottom can't squeeze in.
Gary Jack saves again.
Great cover from Gary Jack. Rampling. 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 Can he get the ball down? He can't. Good defence. Maguire was there. Last tackle against South Sydney. Coleman. Quickly. It wasn't meant for Blake, and Courier. Courier's towed it through. Now Courier's got pace. Courier will get to the ball first. He's probably played a bit of soccer, but he certainly won't get a run in any English First Division side with that attempt, but he has found touch.
Well, that's the second time we've seen South Sydney on the attack and passes going loose, players running through, not knowing who the ball's for, and that time they nearly paid dearly as Courier towed it through. And he would have gone all the way. As it turned out, it would have been much better if he'd stopped to pick it up, because he had a good 10 or 15 metres break on them. No one was going to get near him.
Certainly the pressure was taken off Balmain with that mistake.
The Balmain have put a lot of pressure on themselves in the last couple of minutes with mistakes, and they've had to soak up a lot of pressure down their own end, but their defence has been good. They've been holding. Remember that tackle of Gary Jack, because there was a try on.
Two now we've seen from Gary Jack. The one on Mavin and the one on Longbottom. The Dara.
I suppose it's just about evened up in terms of both teams having chances to score and not quite getting the ball over the line.
The Balmain have had to make 102 tackles. South Sydney just 76. Benny Elias, the top tackler for Balmain. Well, they've got 5 seconds left to do something here, Balmain, in the first half. Andy Courier, he puts the ball on the toe. Back there is Coleman. He was taken out after he put the kick in, and so the penalty will go to Balmain right on half-time. He'll have the shot at goal. I'm certain he'll have the shot at goal, won't he? Elias surely knows it's Pearce out there, both looking at each other, but the clock has already said time's up.
There's no doubt about the penalty. Courier puts the kick in, and then he was knocked late by Graham Lyons. Ball rolling forward, penalty for obstruction, late tackle.
Well, are we going to see some points in this first half? Right on the stroke of half-time. Balmain get the chance to have this shot at goal. Good crowd have come out to watch this match between traditional rivals. Over the years, they've produced some great games. Courier, so far, he played 5 games. British Lions in 1988.
Balmain will be looking for the wide kick. It might go right across the face of the post here.
Just outside the quarter line. Courier, a couple of metres in from touch. There's the kick. It's coming around. It's coming around. It's there! Right on half-time. Courier puts the Tigers in front. They go in at the break, leading 2 points to 0. So the Tigers pretty happy, and the fans will be pretty happy with that. It was just what the Tiger fans had ordered. Right on half-time, with Lions taking Courier out of the play. And a great penalty goal from the sideline gives the Tigers that lead at half-time by 2 points to 0.
From the home of Balmain, Leichhardt Oval, you're watching round 12 of the Winfield Cup, live around Australia. Today it's a special welcome to the township of Bega on the south coast of New South Wales, where the men from Bega, the 1988 premiers, compete in Group 16 of the New South Wales Country League competition.
And a very good afternoon to everyone in Bega and throughout Group 16. Bega, of course, a very dominant force in country rugby league in recent years. Peter Kelly comes from Bega, and of course last year they won the Clayton Cup. Tomorrow, Maruya in round 6 of the Group 16 competition take on the Snowy River Bears, and Bega play Bombala Delegate. Well, now it's time for Warren Boland's review of that incredible backs-to-the-wall performance by Queensland on Wednesday night.
David, yet another great game. It's amazing how every State of Origin match lives up to expectations. The drama, the toughness, the speed, the skill, the courage. This was as good as any. Let's sit back and revel in rugby league at its best.
Many thought it was mission impossible. New South Wales needed revenge, but knew they were up against a team who had all the answers in their first encounter. Only 3 minutes into Origin 2, Hancock escaped from his own in goal.
And he's making a long run. 45 metres later.
3 tackles later, Lewis put Lindner into space. The hole had opened when Belcher threatened to run off Lewis, and Daly had been drawn in. A superb conversion from the sideline by Meninga made it 6-0.
Oh, Coleman and they got the...
Queensland continued to find holes out wide.
He's over the halfway mark. He kicks ahead.
Not adjusting out.
In tight, the defence was bruising and legal. But Daly slipped past clubmate Meninga.
Daly's around them. Daly's looking for the
Miles was a marked man. Maguire jolted him. Alexander took him on.
Good tackle.
Only 20 minutes into the match, Langer was carried off. The champion half broke his leg in this innocuous tackle. New South Wales gained in confidence. Fenwick cut through.
Pass over the top, but could not be taken.
In the 25th minute, Alexander hoisted the bomb high.
Underneath it is...
The loss of Meninga was another savage blow to the Maroons. Big Mal badly broke his nose when Kelly was third man into this tackle. Kelly got 2 weeks suspension. The replacement Shearer was quickly into the fray. Then Ferguson ducked between Lewis and Curry as New South Wales hit back.
4 years of age. He's throwing the way. He's up to the 32. Looking at the quarter line now.
Right on half-time, it was all New South Wales. But Fenwick's pass to Maguire went astray and the scores remained locked at 6-all.
Up he goes. Otherwise it's going loose.
Keep it alive.
In the second half, the Blues began strongly, but Clyde's pass to Maguire was ruled forward by the well-positioned referee Manson. The Blues applied the pressure. The referee ruled play on, though Queensland looked offside.
Up they go. New South Wales ball, no.
In the 51st minute, Lewis waved his wand against the run of play. Belcher's conversion gave Queensland a 12-6 lead.
Hagen to Walters. Walters goes to the 22. He's going to score. It's a Maroon turn. Yes.
Back on the attack, New South Wales lost a scrum against the head and feed. Queensland capitalised on the let-off.
One of the memorable moments in the match.
Then Lewis's pass to Miles was ruled forward.
Short ball to Miles was forward.
Meninga was a one-eyed spectator as the axe jolted the ball from Clyde. Hagen spun it to Lewis. The King defied the tiring chasers. How many times has he done it in the big games?
He's going away. Still going. He does go.
The Blues were far from finished. Cartwright slipped it to Maguire.
Here's a big run by Maguire. Comes to Belcher. Gets to the Gary Jack. Belcher comes across.
The intercept saw Queensland caught offside. With 13 minutes still to go, Cartwright found Johns.
He picks up Chris Johns. Johns has scored.
Limner was forced off with a broken leg and Queensland were down to 12 men. Alexander prepared the final assault, but slipped as he went to kick. The Blues' last chance was lost when Miles, unseen by the referee, knocked the ball from Cartwright's grasp. Fighting for their lives, New South Wales tried to the bell, but a courageous Queensland were triumphant, 16-12, to take this year's series.
So what a game. Both teams lifted themselves. Considering their injury toll, Queensland heroic victors. There's been considerable howling about the referee, Queensland referee David Manson. I've checked the video several times. He made at least 9 difficult but wrong decisions. 5 of them were against New South Wales, 4 of them against Queensland. He also made plenty of difficult but correct decisions. If you want a few other things to argue about, was this the best Origin match of all time? 7 wins in a row, is this the best Queensland team in history? And love him or loathe him, is Wally Lewis the greatest rugby league player of all time? To settle those arguments, David, is another mission impossible.
Well, certainly one thing, it was the bravest Queensland team of all time. That was a mighty, gutsy performance. Well, in the early 80s, everyone at Manly was talking about the youngster from Beacon Hill, Phil Blake. Jeff Prenter even wrote a weekly Blake report. Blake's speed and anticipation was something to behold, but positional changes saw Blake's form wax and wane until he left Manly for arch-rivals South Sydney. In 1989, the boy wonder has been superb. So why is Blake playing the best football of his career?
A year older, a year wiser. Playing in a position which I've always liked to play, and staying in the one position most of the year. I think that comes down to a lot of the reason why I've been performing, I suppose.
Boy wanted to look around. He's blind, boy. He's hard to see. Took the from another place and set it free. He believes in the wonder of everything where He believes in the wonder of everything that he sees.
I like playing in there nice and close. Always, even if you're not doing it, at least you're touching the ball and you're involved. And you know, whereas you might not touch the ball, say for 15 minutes, playing in the centres on the wing or at fullback. At least at half and 5/8, you're always directly or indirectly involved in the play. So that's where I think I'm most dangerous. With 5/8, you know, you're the link between the backs and the forwards, and you've got to relay messages, and you've got to G the forwards up, especially in defence, and you know, and keeping your mind on the game keeps you involved. We got the crafty Craig Coleman, who can't stop talking, who directs the play, who sets up his outside people, you know, tremendously. Got a great kicking game, and his organising skills is probably his best attribution, you know, especially to South Sydney, where Mario is the captain on the paper, but once we come to the field, it's that man, Craig Coleman, that really organises the side and gets us moving forward.
What's Wally Lewis like to play against? How do you find Wally to play against?
Played against him a handful of times, never obviously never at interstate level, where he performs, you know, for the last 8 years he's performed at that level, and probably his best football has been played for Queensland and for Australia. In the club football, it's a matter of not getting overawed, you know, when you're playing opposite him. Just play jumpers and not faces. You know, that's the big thing that we instill in at South Sydney, and especially even though we got beaten up at Bathurst, you know, I don't think we were disgraced, but when the young kids were coming up and when they're playing, like, you know, Jimmy Sedaris and Mark Lyons coming up against blokes like, you know, Backo and Lewis and Langer and all these players, like, they're only young, and you know, we just instill them just to play jumpers and not faces.
What's it like at South Sydney at the moment? It's always been a club more or less built on spirit. Is that the sort of way, is that the reason why they've won about 10 in a row? Yeah,
it's a very happy club. George Pickens, I think, has instilled that. He's a man that's just red and green, and he wants, what he does is he does the best for South Sydney, and I think that goes a long way to. It files down through first grade and down into the 21 players to see a man like George who's doing it virtually for nothing. Just wants to see South Sydney do well, and I think the players appreciate that and want to do well for George. And you know, at the moment it's 10 in a row. It'd be lovely to make it 11. You know, but we're a very happy club, very young club, and a club that's got a lot of loyalty and togetherness, and that's showing like through the whole 3 grades. And at the moment we're winning the club championship, and I don't think they've been in that position for a while. So it's all looking good for South Sydney for the future.
And you're at Leichhardt Oval, where the Balmain Tigers are leading at half-time over South Sydney by 2 points to 0. Andy Courier kicking a penalty goal after the siren had sounded there right on half-time. Let's have a look at the half-time stats. And as you can see, the scrum's going south by 8-6. No tight heads. Those penalties favouring Balmain 6-5. The errors, Balmain have made quite a few handling errors. In fact, Wayne Pearce made 3 in the space of about 10 minutes. And as you can see, the tackles, they're really pointing to the fact that South Sydney have had a little bit more possession than Balmain, and that's why Balmain have had to make, as you can see, almost 30 more tackles. Well, the teams are back on the field for the start of this second half.
I'm sure Souths will be looking to their forwards in this half to pick up their work rate. They've got to start turning Balmain around a little more. Balmain doing it pretty well in that first half, both forwards and backs, until they started making mistakes late in the half.
So there's the sun for one of the first times on a Saturday afternoon. You can see it clearly there, or the effects of it. Balmain bringing the ball back.
What wind there is behind South Sydney this half. It's dropped off a little from earlier in the game, but still behind the Rabbitohs.
And half-time was 2-0. John Pearce, what was said out there at half-time? David Brooks, I noticed, on the field.
Yeah, David Brooks is on for Steve Edmund, but both the coaches are concerned about the error rate out there. Balmain coach Warren Ryan's a bit disturbed about their lack of capitalising on the opportunities that have been made by the forwards, and also the fact that they're not going to Phil Blake. He's holding play up nicely at times. They've got to move to him. George wants more commitment in the forwards. He wants to hit Balmain more on the advantage line. He doesn't want these big forwards moving quite as well in the second half.
South Sydney down on the quarter line. David Brooks on the field, also wearing headgear in place of Steve Edmed. Here's Mavin. Good strong run.
Mostly across field. He was pushing them off, beating plenty of players, but not really breaking through the line.
Last tackle against South Sydney. The little kick from Coleman, a difficult one there for O'Brien to handle, and he's done extremely well after a very difficult attempt to try and pick that ball up. Gee, the odds were against him even coming up with possession, let alone getting it and staying in the field of play. Rasa. Roach. Oh, the way it went to Brooks, taken a bit high. Across the chest, there's the referee.
I don't think it was a deliberately dangerous tackle from Fenwick. He certainly did go high, but he was just desperately trying to collar the player, David Brooks. It was high, it hit him across the chest, and then he slipped up a little.
Penalty against Balmain, getting up inside the 5 in attack. And so the penalty goes to South Sydney. Well, they've been warned, and he's even telling the players out there, Greg McCallum, telling the players that they're offside. So I suppose if you don't listen to the referee, you're going to get pinged for it.
Well, that time I don't think Balmain were even going to kick, so he is simply enforcing the rule, which is the rule that applies in all cases. Both sides have to be back 5 metres. I think it's a waste of time, really, employing that rule, except for to keep them back from chasing the kick. But if he's laid it the law down, the players know what's required.
So here's South Sydney's champ, Longbottom, trying to squeeze over. Longbottom fair! He's got the ball down, and it's a fair try. South lead 4-2.
Well, Balmain must be kicking himself for their defence in that position. South have really turned the gift penalty into a 4-pointer, but how did Longbottom manage to crack the forwards' defence? Let's have a look at it. He takes the tap. Balmain forwards just hang off him a little bit. Straight through the tackle of Cernan. The others come too late. The tap taken about 10 metres out or 8 metres out from the line, busting through Cernan, and then he just simply seemed to shrug off a couple of tackles and fall over the line. They didn't go up to him enough.
Third try of the year, and a vital one. Scored 12 tries last year in 21 matches. He's been very consistent since securing a permanent first-grade spot.
The big problem for Balmain was that they didn't go forward to meet him. As I say, he took the tap 5 metres out. They can move from the line. Immediately he takes the tap. Cernan has taken him, 2 metres out from the line, tackled him, but couldn't hang on to him or couldn't stop him dead, and there wasn't enough support for Cernan in that position, and he's just dragged his way over the line. Balmain forwards will be hanging their heads in shame, and there's Longbottom. He's pretty happy.
At one stage last year, he'd scored 11 tries in just 14 games.
I do think Balmain will be wondering about that penalty, though. As I say, I hope that referee McCallum told them before the game that they had to be back 5 metres in attack as well as defence, and didn't just talk about being back when you kick downfield.
Reggie the Rabbit there. Phil Blake. There's Wayne Pearce. Wouldn't be overly impressed with that. And that's a shocking kick from Phil Blake. And I think that's been kind.
Yes, here's the tap move. A winger taking first ball up, but he found an easy passage through the Balmain forwards. Steve Roach got caught, didn't move inside, and Cernan just wasn't there to hit him, block him off. But that's unfortunate for the Balmain side, because that was a piddling penalty.
A what penalty?
A piddling penalty. I mean, They don't enforce it all year. Someone's got in his ear before the game, and so he produces a couple today. It's just a joke.
Well, I agree with you, John. I mean, I think that penalty should never be given. It shouldn't even be in the rule book that you've got to be back the 5 metres. I agree with it in terms of enforcing the players not chasing kicks downfield too early, but as far as I'm concerned, in general attack, well, why does it matter whether you take it up or take it flat or not?
Yes, but do it every week, Warren.
Sure, but you'd have to hope that McCallum told the captains before the game that he was going to rule on it today and crack down on it. If he didn't, well, he is at fault. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I think he got Brasher for standing about 2 metres back then, and he wasn't moving in any direction.
He was standing on the blind side. The play was on the open side of the ruck.
Balmain have got the ball. They've got to do a lot of work. Plenty of time left in the match. There's 34 minutes to go.
Just looking at that kick from Phil Blake, South have got a little bit of a problem with their goal kicking without Mark Ellison on the field. He's a fresh reserve today. Phil Blake can knock them over, but I wouldn't say he's a consistently good kicker.
Roach, 32 metres out from the Balmain line. Line side comes Cernan. Last tackle against the Tigers. Now Brooks, who was a noted goal kicker, didn't have much option with that. There was a South Sydney player between him and Benny Elias, so off balance he had to try and put the kick in. Sedaris. David Brooks came to Sydney as a goal-kicking second rower originally. Mario Fennick. South Sydney through Coleman. All they thought about the kick there from Owen, and some of the Balmain players were going back for it. That kick in the end has gone out on the full. But it was interesting that Coleman had a few of the Balmain players turned around originally before Blake kicked, and had he thrown the pass, South Sydney may have created something on the right side of the field. Balmain have it. Penalty against South Sydney. Andrews getting out of the starting blocks quicker than Ben Johnson.
Lock forward, Michael Andrews has to stay in the scrum until that ball comes clear. Has to come through the second rower's feet.
The Balmain with the ball inside South Sydney's territory. Chalmers. Seen the ball really go down the right flank much today. Most of the play's been down that left flank, especially when Balmain have had the ball. The dummy from Elias. Good run from Elias. He finally had support, but too late. Almost on the quarter line. Brooks. Podgy. Brasher. Good backing up from Podgy. He's having a strong game this afternoon. Brasher finds Brooks coming onto the ball. Only 10 metres out from South Sydney's line. Last tackle against the Balmain Tigers. Elias is one man off the ruck. He gets the ball and hoisted high. It's a good bomb. It's coming down in the field of play. Going high. Oh, highest of all. Looked to be Chalmers, but he's just lost it. And South have come up with it, rather luckily.
It was a fine bomb from Elias, giving his chase plenty of time to get through. It was very high, very awkward, coming down near the post. Good position right on the goal line. And South just managing to save through Lyons.
Chalmers got up. Couldn't quite grab it. Had he grabbed it, it would have been a Balmain try. That's where you want the bombs. You want them to come down just in the field of play. Last tackle against South Sydney, and Blake can't get his kick in. That is good chasing. That is good football from Balmain.
Elias and Neil, the chasers.
Penalty right in front, 12 metres out, and Mario's going to the sin.
And Benny Elias points the direction. Plenty of rivalry between Elias and Fennick.
Elias and Fennick have been at each other since about 1982 when Benny first came in. And have a look at this. When the penalty gets given and finally Mario got his fight in the sin bin, and Benny told him where it was.
Well, it's a bad bit of football there in the end by Blake and Fennick. First of all, Blake has turned what was a bad bit of football initially not to get his kick in. Okay, give credit to Balmain there, the chasers, Neil and Elias. But then he's turned what was a handover into a penalty right in front of the post. And Fennick has joined in. And he's off the field. So South, instead of getting a kick away on the last tackle, have conceded a penalty and lost a player.
Higgins on the walkie-talkie, sending instructions down to the bench. Courier, I should say, how he likes it pronounced. 11 metres out, right in front of the black and gold dot. Shouldn't give him any worries, and this should level the score. The kick's there, and so Balmain draw level. 29 and a half minutes remaining in the match. It's Balmain 4, South Sydney 4. Yes, over the years, Benny and Mario have had a lot of run-ins when Souths have played Balmain. Well, I can tell you that they had a great battle when Australia played Bradford Northern on the last tour when Mario was playing at Bradford Northern. Mark Ellison listening to the instructions from George Biggins. Elias, no doubt, will be thinking perhaps that the field goal is going to be a very strong option for the remainder of the game. Sean Edwards, no doubt, will come on shortly as well.
Plenty of rivalry between Elias and Fenech, not just as individual players, but still I'm sure Benny Elias would have hopes of getting back in New South Wales and Australian jersey. When you look at it, Steve Roach also wouldn't be too keen on Mario Fenech at the moment because Fenech's been playing the prop forward role out there today. And Roach would be hoping that he can get a representative jersey.
Good tackle there by Rampling on Elias. Roach. 32 metres out. Elias, the kick. It's a high one. Cruikshank is not going to get onto it on the fall now. Neil is up inside the 5, and great football from Elias. Cruikshank didn't side Elias. He came from the blind spot, making the kick really become a good kick.
And Neil knew that he was inside the 5 metres and quickly backed away. He was offside, but Elias had been behind the kicker.
Well, Elias kicked it.
Oh, sorry. Well, good.
Blake. Chalmers getting back. Jack's there as well. Jack almost through that gap, and so many people hang off Gary Jack, and he makes them pay. How often have you seen him from that situation really turn defence into attack?
Roll it quickly, fast, roll it quickly.
Elias. Pressure.
On the sideline here we have Mark Ellison wearing 41. He's warming up to go on the South Sydney side. There is a problem with Steve Mavin in the centre. So Mark Ellison will go in the second row if that happens. And Paul Roberts, of course, will go out to the centre where he's had a lot of experience.
Elias under pressure but still getting the kick in. Lyons running across field. Tried to go straight over the top of the youngster pressure. Good chasing from Cernan. That's the sort of football I dare say the New South Wales selectors want to see him play or use. Putting in a big effort. Brooks doing the job too very well since he's been on the field. Blake in behind O'Brien. Benny Elias has got through 25 tackles so far. They've mucked that up a bit, but they've got away with it, Balmain, and it's 6 to go.
The referee said when the ball was bleeped out that the tackle hadn't been completed, and let's play go on. 6 more.
Maguire on the quarter line, plays it quickly, even though the other players were still tackling him. Pearce running out wide. Good tackle that. Blake. Elias got that pass away quickly, finishes up with Cernan. If they'd moved it quickly though the other side, there was 3 on 2. Elias. Pearce. He's got Courier with him. Back on the inside, it's Elias. Up to the halfway line. Mick Neal. Neal, good work to get the ball away to Courier. Benny comes back onto the field after his stint in the sin bin. Blindside it goes to Brooks, and it's a good-looking kick. It's a good kick. It's found touch. Not sure what Steve Mavin was talking to then.
Yes, a replacement. Mark Ellison is going on for 41. And it does look like Adam O'Neill could be the man to be replaced. He's going off on the far touchline. So Mavin will go out into the wing. And, of course, Paul Roberts into the centre.
So O'Neill's off on the far side. Roberts into the centre. And there's Adam O'Neill.
Adam O'Neill doesn't appear to be injured. Seems to be a surprising replacement to take him off.
South through Mavin. I suppose the big question mark is, when is Warren Ryan going to use Shaun Edwards, or will he?
The sooner the better.
He is one of the better players in the world.
I'm sure Warren Ryan was disappointed when Shaun Edwards wasn't able to get back in time to train with the team. He decided that because of the lack of combination, maybe the late arrival, it would take the edge off the team and Edwards, but I'm sure he reluctantly left him out.
Bad pass, putting pressure on themselves there, South Sydney. This was not a good pass. Chisholm had no chance.
You've got to be kidding, McNeil.
Well, he got away with it, but the penalty against South Sydney not being back to 5 metres at the scrum base, it's a differential, so they can't kick a goal. But certainly more pressure here for South Sydney.
You can see Gary Jack asking the referee if we're allowed to have a shot at goal. The referee says no. That was quite ridiculous. That feed of McNeil's was so far into the second row that it just makes a total joke out of the whole scrum situation.
He got away with it. That's all that matters. 2 footballs on the field. The Chalmers tries to bust them up. Now this is real pressure time here for South Sydney. And Roach coming from deep. Didn't bust the line. He did have to check his run a bit. Elias looks out wide. He finds Cernan, who can't catch the football. And so the scrum will go down for the knock-on. But if he caught that, and there's a bit going on out there now in the verbal.
A lot of feeling between these two teams. Good pass from Elias, though Cernan was under a fair bit of pressure there from Coleman. He wasn't able to hang on to it. South may have been able to hold out there even if Cernan had taken that pass. The defence was still there.
Mavin. Good strong run from Steve Mavin. Under pressure his team. Penalty against Elias. Crowd starting to get vocal too. South Sydney crowd's always been a bit vocal. Red Gasner always said that the hardest game to play was at Redfern Oval. Here's Elias.
There's Elias just pushing Mavin a second time. Mavin made the most of it, played it up, but Elias did go on with it long enough to incur the referee's wrath. And Elias now the top tackler for Balmain by a long way with 26 tackles.
And Steve Roach with 18's the second.
And there he is.
Very difficult match to referee this one.
It's been scrappy at times. There's been some great football, but also some very basic mistakes. And there's another one.
Do you think that's due in some small area because of the hitting so hard in the boards?
Sure. Players having a bit of a look and also just feeling the tension and the pressure.
Georgie Piggins is down on the sideline now. He was up in the grandstand. Blake kicks it deep. Now is it going to go dead? It's not going to go dead. Chalmers, he almost lost that. And he got it back into the field of play. He hasn't.
Good
Great
tackle.
chasing.
Steve Mavin, the first man to reach him, and just in time to make a very vital tackle, because now Balmain have to drop out and give possession back to South. Here's the action as Chalmers picks it up. Look at Mavin. He steadies and goes in hard, grabs him, pulls him down.
What a good kick from Blake too. Perfect. Chalmers couldn't do much about it. Wasn't helped by the greasy surface, but centimetre perfect the kick from Blake, which means the pressure's now on Balmain as Roberts brings it back on the quarter line. 20 minutes to go and it's still Balmain 4, South Sydney 4. South has scored the only try of the match. Coleman finds Fennick on the charge.
Wonder if South might think about the field goal with 20 minutes to go.
Blake's in the centre of the field, but I think he's only there to be first receiver. Here's Blake now. A long ball comes out to Paul Roberts. He's gone without it. Who's got it? Well, he had to have a couple of bites at it in the end. Linking up out wide again and again, the pass behind Paul Roberts. The kick. Straight down Gary Jack's throat, under no pressure. Jack bringing it back. Great tackle from Graham Lyon.
A wasted opportunity there for South. The kicking, and it wasn't the last tackle. Nobody was set for the play at all.
Elias. Real fair few dummies there. In the end, Roberts the only one not sucked in and affected the tackle. Pierce, back comes here. This is Brasher. Fourth tackle against Balmain. Rope takes it up. Elias on the last tackle, kicking. Mavin back on his own quarter line. McNeil, away from McNeil. The next line's there though and affect the tackle. Brasher around the legs. Now the sun's gone, it's become quite dark here. Nowhere near as dark as it was at North Sydney Oval last Sunday afternoon. Players were just mere silhouettes from the broadcast box in the end. Fennick to get up and play it. The halfway line. Rampling. Last tackle against South Sydney. Blake. Puts it in behind Chalmers. He does well. Kept his eye on the ball. Got himself into good position. Not a difficult, not an easy ball to take when they're up there like that. Jack.
Roll it quickly, South. Hands off him. Roll quickly.
Pierce. Maguire got a good pass away to Brasher. Elias keeps it going the same way. Throws the dummy. He's gone straight through, Benny Elias. He's got support on the outside. But he can't get it away. Still going. Great skills from Elias. Great backing up from Roach. Last tackle against Balmain. They're only 18 metres out. Brooks without the headgear in a dummy half. It comes to Elias. Out it comes Neil. Popji. Forward pass, I thought, to Brasher. The kick. Anybody's ball. In the end, Mavin lost it. Brasher's got it and scored. It's a try to Balmain. Tim Brasher has scored the try and Balmain lead 8-4.
Well, Balmain desperately needed that try to break this deadlock. There's Tim Brasher. Good hands here. Remember, it was a Benny Elias break that got them into this position. Good hands. That was the one you called it possibly forward. It may have been okay, I think. Brasher puts the kick in. It comes off Steve Mavin. He can't regather, and Brasher wins the race to the ball. Looked like he did get it down fairly. Seemed to ground it safely. All Tim Brasher, he's only young, still at school, but he has the thought here to put the kick in the air. Mavin can't handle it. And then Brasher, does he get the ball down cleanly? I'd say so.
So his first try in first grade, he'll remember that one for the rest of his days. And he's had a pretty strong game and he's impressed, as I said earlier. Nearly everyone has watched this youngster since he was brought into first grade about 6 weeks ago. And Wayne Pearce laying down the orders now. South Sydney with Blake starting to do some talking out there. Coleman won't stop talking. You know that. And the crowd would be totally enthralled. The Balmain supporters obviously pretty happy with that. Andy Courier, he's only about 10 metres to the right of the upright, but the ball falls off the mound. Seen that happen a couple of times today with Courier.
Just harking back to that great run by Elias down this side of the field, which was what really put Balmain in the position to attack. For the last 15 minutes, the players been between the quarters. No one's been able to get to the goal line. But all of a sudden, Balmain found themselves in the position to move that ball wide and stretch Souths. When you put the kick in the air, anything can happen, and it did for the Tigers.
Courier, the chance to make it 6 points the margin. There's the kick. He's missed it. Still 4 points in it. 15 and a half minutes to go. And it's Balmain 8, South Sydney 4.
Well, here's this great run by Benny Elias that set up that previous try. Here he is showing all the qualities he has. Dummy, determination, good awareness. He looks around left, right. He does a bit of shopping. No one's around. He goes a little bit further, then picks up his mate Steve Roach. This is the movement that set up the try by Rasa.
Tony Rampling coming off. David Boyle, who you'll see in a fresh jumper. Guernsey 24 affects the tackle. He's the man who's just come on for Tony Rampling. He's one man that George Higgins obviously be looking for the remainder of the season to do a lot of that hard yakka. A good player, Boyle. Especially when you consider that Ian Roberts now may be out for the season. Let's hope he's not for his sake. And obviously for South Sydney's chance's sake.
Well, George Higgins decided to leave Boyle, Les Davidson and Ian Roberts in reserve grade today. Coming back from injury, a lot of coaches these days figure if you're a first grade player, they just put you straight back into first grade. But Higgins decided to go with Sidaris and Lyons. Well, Lyons wasn't able to produce the goods for him today. Only, well, we'll never know, I suppose, whether David Boyle would have been the better man to have had in the front row from the outset. But South half them out of this game, down by 4 points, 13 minutes, 56 seconds on the clock.
So during the week, they talked about the bad pass with those two young policemen. David Smith, who was Balmain's oldest supporter, passed away. 100 years and 3 months, and our condolences to his family. Blake, the kick. You'll probably be going off to West Leagues Club tonight, will you? I believe Ellery Hanley's the guest DJ at the famed nightclub at the West Leagues Club tonight. Good run that from Chalmers.
I hope he's just going tomorrow against Andrew Eddinghausen and Mark McGaw.
Yes, that'll be something worth going to, no doubt. Ellery's got magic on the field. I wonder whether he's got magic with fame tonight.
Great run from Cernan, turning South around.
Balmain just outside the quarter line, through Roach. They're very determined at the moment, this Balmain lot. This is how they started the game. Podgy sends it out wide. The try scorer, Brasher. On it comes to O'Brien. Brasher's backed up on the outside. Last tackle against Balmain. Brasher in at dummy half. Elias puts the little grubber kick in. Coming through quickly is McNeil. And Cruikshank almost slipped over and didn't get to it.
Cruikshank was very deep. He was standing in the in-goal area expecting the bomb. And nobody else was just in behind the line. Cruikshank had to quickly come forward.
So Dara's wrapped up well by Elias. This try has really spurred on the Balmain side as Boyle takes it up. Good tackle from Brooks.
Yes, warming up on the sideline is Les Davidson, the international forward. He'll be good. Won't be a good sight for the Balmain forwards, but they'll give him a good test.
Boyle. Well, they've still only used the one replacement, Balmain, so... And that was Brooks on for Edmund at half-time. The kick from Ellison. Neil can't handle it. Jack's back there, though. The chasers are up there. Andrews and also Lyons. Ellison in the back play. He got felled after he put the kick in. O'Brien. And here's the kick from Ellison. Podgy and Ellison colliding there. Was that a forearm or was it just a clash?
It wasn't a late tackle. It was fair enough that way, but it might have been a little high.
They're going forward at the moment, Balmain. They're playing good football just inside South territory. Here's Roach taking it up. And Elias knocks it on a dummy half. Les Davidson coming on. And good luck to the big fella. He's had a shocking run this year. As Elias knocks it on.
Elias hasn't made many mistakes today. In fact, he's been instrumental in Balmain putting together a good performance.
So Mario Fennick is the man replaced after his big game the other night. Probably running out of a bit of puff. 5 in the sin bin, and now Davidson comes on to replace him. But Les Davidson started the season. He had half a game against East. He came back, and then 11 minutes into his return match, he redid the injury.
Here's Podgy being cautioned, probably for that late tackle on Ellison.
That was a handover. Mario didn't seem too pleased with George Piggins. If looks could have killed, I don't think George would be sitting there at the moment. Les Davidson. Boyle. And it's been intercepted. Well, the pass wasn't on and Maguire's done the work well. Balmain bring it back through Podgy. Still no sign of Sean Edwards.
Bad luck, Michael.
Brooks takes it up. There's 10 minutes left in the match. Souths are leading Balmain by 8 points to 4. Elias finds Maguire, who got Balmain into this situation in the first place with the intercept. Out it comes, Neil. On it goes to Roach. The little pirouette. If you could call Steve Roach ever doing a little pirouette. He's a big man. Elias on the blind side, the little kick into the in-goal area. Crookshank's there. A little bit too deep, that one. Too optimistic, and South get it from the centre of their own quarter line. So there's the kick from Elias. Trying to catch the napping, but that time far too deep.
And Coleman quickly back to the 22 to take the tap. He knows that South have got to get it down the other end of the field. They've got to get this try to hit back and fairly soon.
Of course, another wins means 11 in a row. Beautifully picked up that by Paul Roberts. But at the moment, they're behind the 8 ball. There's 9 minutes left. It's still Balmain leading. And here's Longbottom. Longbottom's got the pass away to Paul Roberts. Back on the inside. South keep it going. Blake's there. Blake's got Blake. Blake will score. Blake racing away. Bill Blake, the boy wonder, will score underneath the post.
Well, we said South needed a try. I didn't think it was going to come as quickly as that. It came out of nothing. But the brilliance of Bill Blake, the man to finish it off and bring it around closer to the post, which gives South the chance to get in the lead. Mavin manages to keep it alive. Out it goes to Crookshank. He pushes away from Cernan. Then Longbottom was the one who suddenly turned it into action. Good work there by Roberts. Mavin into the action once more. And then Blake streaks away from Brooks. Blake going all the way, chased hard, but Steve O'Brien couldn't get to him, and Blake, you could always see, was always wanted to stay on his feet to bring it round behind the post. Great hands by South. Plenty of players keeping the ball alive. They're fast out wide. They haven't seen that much of the ball today, but this time they did, and they just managed to cut the defence to ribbons. But look at Blake. A mercurial player, if ever there was one, over the line and around to set up the conversion, which will put them in the lead if it goes over.
Phil Blake
hurt at the end there too.
Now, with his 8th try of the year, equal leader in the top try-scoring division, along with Greg Alexander, Andrew Simons and Alan Wilson.
Les Davidson being spoken to.
And Andy Courier. Courier, no doubt, for the late tackle that we saw in the lead-up to the try. There wasn't anything offensive in it. It was just a little shoulder charge, but it did take a player out.
Steve Roach off the field for Balmain after a pretty good effort, and the replacement is Kevin Hardwick.
21 tackles Steve Roach got through. Have they got time left though? There's 8 minutes left on the clock.
South's managing to get that vital try. Remember that Elias kicked, the ball went dead in goal. Coleman raced back to the 22. It took a couple of tackles, but maybe that quick move by Coleman might just have prevented Balmain from setting their defence, because they certainly managed to keep the ball alive well, and that led to the try. And Balmain know that their season could be hanging on this. There's a long way to go in this competition, but if they lose today, it's going to make it very difficult for them.
Balmain Got just under 8 minutes to try and bring it back and turn this game around again. Ellison. Mark Ellison, the kick at goal is successful. South Sydney are in front, 7 minutes 50 seconds left on the clock. South Sydney are leading Balmain by 10 points to 8.
Yes, well, after some early work, here's Roberts put down the wing. He inside to Mavin. He escapes from Mike Neal. And, of course, Phil Blake's there. And not only is he a great opportunist, a great support player, he's a smart player too. He knows the chance of kicking the goal will come if he gets a bit closer to the post. Great effort. And Sean Edwards is on now for Balmain, so it'll be interesting. He's just come back from Milwaukee. Green Bay Packers territory. Wonder if he can bring a bit of Vince Lombardi magic back with him.
Certainly Balmain will be hoping he can. What a great promotion that was. 17,000 people to see Wigan play Warrington last weekend. South Sydney won't do too much fancy stuff from here, but it's the way they've won so many of their games this year is Sean Edwards trying to get things organised. They just wear the opposition down and wait for opportunities. O'Brien, he's got Jack in support.
As you say, David, they've worn Balmain down, or at least they took the opportunity when it came, because if anything, it was against the run of play, and Balmain were looking strong to win this game, and all of a sudden South had gone from one end of the field to the other.
Elias, good tackle that. Beautifully read by Graham Lyons. Edwards, Pearce. Back it comes to Edwards. Chalmers. Courier was back on his outside, but he couldn't get it away. Edwards at dummy half. Hardwick. The kick charge down and it's 6 to go.
There must be some weary defenders out there. It's been a pretty rugged game. 6 more tackles, just what Balmain needed.
5 minutes 40 seconds left in the match, and Edwards, he threw the dummy, but the gap closed at the last moment. Boyle and Davidson there on the halfway line.
Good tackle there by Andrews, moving up to Brooks.
Hardwick, another good solid hit.
Andrews and Davidson that time.
Last tackle, Edwards. Edwards puts the kick in. Driving play deep inside South Sydney's territory, and it's a good kick. Now this is where Souths are under pressure. They'll have the football.
Good kick by Edwards, gives Balmain a chance, but South just have to make sure they pack their scrum strongly here. They've got good men in there, Boyle, Davidson fresh, but they must win this scrum. They've got the feed, got the loose head. Look at the Balmain push. Well, the ball's come out to South, but not through lack of trying from the Balmain forwards. They drove in that scrum.
Great tackle that. Pearce getting Cruikshank. 10 metres out. Davidson running it up for South Sydney.
Davidson carrying the ball a little loosely there. High on one arm.
Coleman. Around it comes for Cruikshank. Just outside the quarter line. Dara. 4 minutes remaining in the match. Last tackle against South. South leading by 10 points to 8. Blake kicking. Looking for the touchline. I think he's going to find it. End over end it bounces. Great kick from Phil Blake.
There's George Piggins. He'd be pleased with that kick of Blake. That really did gain some ground. A good 50-metre kick. Blake was the one in the first half who kept South virtually in the game with his kicks. In the second half, little bits of brilliance, and a kick like that, very handy.
So Balmain, they won't get too many more chances, and they won't get it if they throw passes like that. They've got 3.5 minutes to get it down the other end and score a try. They're behind by 2 points. South Sydney leading 10 points to 8. Edwards, he finds Pearce. Courier comes away now to Chalmers. Chalmers pushes through one. It's become very dark. You can't see it there on the televisions, but it's very dark here. Some of the players will be able to see the other side of the field, you'd reckon. That was a bad pass. It's a knock-on, and South have come up with it, or have they? Touch judge coming on. Mario will be pretty pleased with the performance so far because they're in front by 2 points.
Balmain trying to swing the ball wide. The pass too far in front of Rasa from Elias. Rasa had a little chance of pulling that one in. Les Davidson being spoken to. Craig Coleman is probably taken over as captain with Fenwick off the field. But this could be for an incident. Wayne Pearce was taken out in the back play a few moments back.
South Sydney.
No penalty. Look at the weight from Balmain.
Great push from Balmain. But that's what they needed right down the other end. They tried. What can they do from here? There's only a couple of minutes left in the match, Balmain. They've had their chances. Edwards, that was a forward pass. Elias pops it over the top. They're keeping it alive, but no one's running into the space. Edwards. Cernan to Brooks.
Once more it's Andrews and Davidson in there. Also Chisholm making the tackles.
Edward blindside. That looked to be a forward pass. Away it went to Jack. Jack throws the pass. How did Pearce get up to get that? Pearce looking for support. He finds it in Brooks. Quickly it comes away to Elias. They've got a chance here. Here comes Courier. Courier trying to link up with Edwards. He throws it. It comes out wide again. The ball went away. Maguire's gone without it. Rasa goes back for it. And has Rasa lost it? He's still got it. But the referee's going to put a scrum down. Well, that was their chance.
Well, they certainly had the chance too, but they've blown it in the end. Rasa looks as if he's lost it to Lyons here, but just managed to regain it. Referee playing the knock-on. South must make sure of this scrum.
South Sydney would only have to play out 6 tackles, you think, and that will be the ball game. I think Higgins knows there's only about 60 seconds left on the clock too. They've had some tight games this year, South.
Balmain have thrown everything at South in the last couple of minutes, and you've got to give it to the courage of South. They really do have spirit, this Rabbitoh team.
Boyle, upended by Hardwick. He's not going to worry if they go on with something in the tackle because it's using up time. That looked forward too.
Davidson getting a low pass, just managed to hang on to it.
Dara. Last tackle against South Sydney. The seconds are ticking away. Not very long left in the game. Ellison kicking for touch, and that's a good kick from Ellison. Look at this. 5 metres out from the corner post. Driving play deep inside Balmain's territory, and that for mine is the ball game, unless Balmain produce a miracle when they win this scrum.
Ellison's been a handy replacement.
They're not going to even pack the scrum. The game is all over. It's all over here at Leichhardt Oval, and a great performance from South Sydney. South Sydney winning the match in the end, scoring 2 tries to 1. They're winning the match by 10 points to 8. Longbottom and Blake scored the tries. Ellison kicked the goal. Brackett scored the try for Balmain, and Courier 2 goals. Don't forget to join us next weekend on ABC television. Our rugby league match will come with you from Lang Park, Brisbane and Cronulla. See you then.
Good afternoon, Angela Pearman updating the news. Chinese officials have taken journalists and news crews on a guided tour of Tiananmen Square, denying there was any massacre. They say reports that thousands of workers and students were killed by troops were a fabrication and a conspiracy by the Western media.
During the process of clearing up the Tiananmen Square, I can say that we never beaten up to death of a student or a young man on spot. There is no such a thing as the bloodshed on the Tiananmen Square.
Chilean left-wing activist Sergio Bushman is back in Sweden after being released by American immigration authorities. Bushman was detained in Alaska after his deportation from Australia earlier this week. Despite a plea by Chile for Bushman's return, US officials admitted they had nothing to hold him on. His release has been confirmed in Canberra by Immigration Minister Robert Ray, who says Bushman's travelling companion Eduardo Rojas is now returning to Australia. 9 people are recovering in hospital after a bomb blast near a shopping centre in West Belfast. The bomb, planted in a building to be demolished, exploded as an army foot patrol passed.
The 250-pound bomb simply demolished the derelict building. It was detonated just as a police and army foot patrol was passing by. 2 soldiers were seriously hurt, suffering head and leg wounds. The other casualties escaped with only slight injuries. Of them, 5 were members of the security forces and 2 women civilians. The force of the blast shattered windows in nearby homes, and railings were blown into the air like javelins, this one ending up wrapped around a lamppost on the other side of the road. The IRA have claimed responsibility for the blast, and it comes at the end of a week that's seen an upsurge of violence in the province after a comparative lull.
Police expect to charge a bus driver after an overnight accident in northern New South Wales that injured 28 passengers. The coach driver has told police he reached down to pick up a torch before his vehicle left the road and overturned. The Sydney-bound bus was on a trip from Brisbane when the accident happened, a few kilometres north of Grafton. All of the injured passengers were taken to Grafton Hospital, where they're all listed as in a satisfactory condition. And there'll be full details tonight at 6 o'clock. Time now for sports news.
This week, racing action from 3 states, the story behind the success of the Canberra Cannons, and the latest from the 1989 US Open being played at the historic Oak Hill Country Club in Rochester, New York. Karen Ty with you for sports news. Also today, our usual roundup of football in all 4 codes. But first we go to Doomben for the running of the Minister for Transport Stakes. The track was dead and the favourite